Going to be looking at a standard form versus y-intercept form. These are both types of equations that we can use. I should specify linear equations. Today in class we worked with y equals mx plus b, which is the y-intercept form, and we found out that this m here, anyone, was stood for the slope. And this b right here was the y-intercept. And I'll just abbreviate it like this. As always, just like I would be doing this in class, make sure you're copying these down in your MJ. Now there's two, well, I guess I should say over here, standard form, both A and B are not 0. Okay. At this point in your math career, really benefits of using standard form are going to be mainly for down the road. What we will be using this form for is when we start using systems of equations and we're going to have to start solving them together. Standard form is much easier to work with than y-intercept form, but that's when we start solving some of these equations together. In terms of graphing, and wanting to put a graph on paper, the best form to do that, where's my, here it is going to be the y-intercept form. Okay. And we'll be working a little bit with that in terms of why that's best and do some examples with it. So I think I'm just going to start briefly with doing the y-intercept if I need to graph it. There is my grid. Come up with an equation. Let's say my equation is y equals 2x plus 1. We'll keep it easy here. What this tells you in the y equals mx plus b form, right away the b will tell me my y-intercept. So right here, my y-intercept is positive 1, which means it needs to be crossing right about there. If I had a grid, and of course your grid is beautiful, we'll call that 1 unit. Okay, so I got 1 dot right here crossing. Next up, this 2 is going to be our slope, and we know that we want to do rise over run. So I need to go up 2, 1, 2, over 1. Again, if you're on a grid, it's going to make it a lot easier to kind of go about doing it. So, oh my goodness, here we go. And you'd have your equation graphed. Again, this is a real quick sketch, and we were working with this today in class, and we'll still keep doing it more so. But benefits of using the y-intercept is that it's real quick. You needed 2 points, the y-intercept, and then you can go up and over for your rise over run. If you have an equation in standard form, for example, we'll do, how about 10x plus 2y equals, how about 8? Okay, and if I were to ask you to graph this equation immediately, we wouldn't be able to have 2 points we could pull out. It's not in the correct form to find the slope or the y-intercept. The best way to go about doing it in this standard form would be to make an XY table. The second best and maybe quicker way is to go ahead and solve for y. Let's change it into y-intercept form, which is what we're going to be practicing tomorrow in class. So we subtract 10x from both sides, subtract 10x, and we're left with 2y equals, and again I like to put my variables first, minus 10x plus 8. It's not wrong if you have the 8 first, it's just not in the common form. Last step then, make sure you divide by 2. Divide this whole thing by 2. I'm going to split it up right here. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And after practicing this over the weekend, we know that y then equals a negative 5x plus 4. Now, since we had this in our slope-intercept form, and now you can see the positive 4, we could put that on our graph over here. And then since it's a negative 5, I would go down 5 over 1. And we'll practice that tomorrow. But the main step is to, when you have something in standard form, you either need to make an XY table or quickly solve for y, and then you can see your slope and your y-intercept. For homework tonight, what you're going to do is practice some of this. It's from the Fair Game review from lesson 2.3, so you could find this in your textbook. I have a picture of it right here. I apologize, it's kind of blurry. That's just how it copied. If you'd like to find it on the actual page, it is page 63. Look for it on bigideas.com. So I'll be collecting 29 through 33 tomorrow. If you need extra help on this lesson in terms of standard form or slope-intercept form, check out the lessons 2.3 and 2.4 in your textbook. Have a great evening.